Incredible things are happening in Uganda. Known as the Pearl of Africa, Uganda is famous for its diverse wildlife, gorgeous scenery, and a warm and welcoming people. But in 2023, something would stir the soft ground of Uganda.
I'm by the names Bumba Daniel Cedric. I am using wrestling as a tool, as a centerpiece to bring youth together for their aspirations, dreams, and also to relentlessly bring them to a common cause.
Soft Ground Wrestling began posting short clips on social media of improvised wrestling, utilizing untrue and clickbaity titles such as WWE Fastlane results as a way to grab attention, which is something that occurs quite often, with backyard wrestling promotions using already established names, not in a way that I believe to be as a way to deceive, but as wrestling characters being like superheroes and the like, and these wrestlers taking on that role the way an actor would play Spider-Man or such. While the clickbaity titles didn't trick any, it did rouse some curiosity, and those that did choose to watch were not disappointed. A ring constructed of freshly tilled earth, nylon ropes tied to trees and fence posts, two big, muscular lads throwing suplexes and lariats with abandon. The guerrilla-style filmmaking and outside locale made the footage and the bumps on the ground of Uganda that much more hard-hitting. The passion from the wrestlers and those watching at ringside is infectious and transmits to those watching from across the world. The clips are shared amongst those low to the ground on wrestling discussion boards and social media, but eventually all this positivity would attract those that would seek to ruin it. Lord White appears in Soft Ground Wrestling, seeking to take the rights of wrestling away from the people of Uganda. You see, when Uganda gained independence from the United Kingdom, Britain buried a clause in the Ugandan Declaration of Independence that handed everything over to Uganda, except the wrestling industry. Inciting the power of King Charles III, Lord White plans to take over Soft Ground Wrestling. For his transgressions, Lord White is ceremonially killed by the wrestlers, but unfortunately, like a British Antichrist, he rises from the dead as an evil April Fool's joke. Lord White knows it's better to be pissed off than pissed on, and so goes on a rampage, whipping information out of the Soft Ground wrestlers trying to find out who it was that pissed on his grave. Eventually finding out it was Cool Man who peed and did the deed. He has him restrained and is about to take a piss of revenge, when suddenly Mason Mansour, the recently released tag team of Making It Maximum, have come to Uganda to put a stop to Lord White's reign of terror. With the help of Cool Man, the three beat off Lord White's goons, and in Mansour's words, fucking kill him, ending Lord White's hold on Soft Ground Wrestling, for now. The passion and fortitude of Soft Ground Wrestling's wrestlers have made waves overseas, not just to those commenting on social media, but to some of the biggest stars in wrestling, from Will Ospreay wanting to work with the promotion, to Cody Rhodes, newly crowned WWE World Champion, offering to send a ring to Uganda for Soft Ground Wrestling. After their appearance at Soft Ground Wrestling, Mansour and Mace created the Achieve the Dream fundraiser, a charity stream which featured many prominent wrestling stars and figures all coming together to raise money for Soft Ground Wrestling. Tens of thousands of dollars are raised to help from passionate fans who believe in the dream that wrestling is for everybody. Soft Ground Wrestling reminded all of us that wrestling is a powerful force able to bring people from all walks of life, to cross boundaries and borders, that the love of pro wrestling is universal, and that in contrast to AEW or WWE, with its big stadiums, fancy lights and pyro, to truly be a part of wrestling, all you really need is love for it and the soft ground beneath your feet. However, this was not the first fundraiser for Soft Ground Wrestling. In February 2024, as Soft Ground Wrestling was just starting to blow up, a GoFundMe page was made with the goal of covering the cost of the land Soft Ground Wrestling performs on. The Soft Ground is a rented space by David Bombash. Still, the fundraising was successful, with many prominent wrestling stars chipping in as well. There is just one problem. The GoFundMe is not made or associated in any way to anyone working in Soft Ground Wrestling, or anyone in Uganda for that matter. It was created by an American teenager whose heart was in the right place, but clearly in over his head. When transferring the money to Uganda became difficult due to website policies and currency exchanges, Bombash decided to expose the child, claiming they were withholding the money and stealing from Soft Ground Wrestling. Many other fans of Soft Ground joined in as well in the harassment. Eventually, some of the money made its way to Uganda after a third party and many fees were deducted. It wasn't a nice start for someone just trying to help be given all this responsibility by Bombash himself, as he named them the US ambassador of Soft Ground, only to throw him under the bus the first chance he could when it looked like he would not get his money. But this was not the last time Soft Ground would come under scrutiny. You see, the fundraiser money, or what remained of it, would not go to Soft Ground directly. In fact, there is no company registered as Soft Ground Wrestling. This is a Bombash Wrestling Academy, reserved on the Ugandan government website, but it's not been registered as either an official business or a non-profit, meaning that all money can go right into Bombash's pocket legally to do with whatever he wanted. Despite this, Bombash still claims that Soft Ground is legitimate. There were other crazy claims made by Bombash, that soon they would be getting a TV deal and be able to perform in the Mandela Stadium, which has a capacity of 50,000. Another fun thing is that the homeless orphans that train at the school need to pay for tuition, amenities, and utilities, as well as food and board, despite Bombash saying money from the donations and fundraisers would go towards these costs. There was also the incident where Bombash and many SGW talent were threatened to go into jail. Allegedly, the land that they were using and renovating was not legally rented out, leading to the landowners calling the police on Bombash and crew. They even spent a day in jail before eventually being set free. Bombash says he was going to pay to clear the records. Whether that meant posting bail for those affected or bribing the police is not made clear, but I will guess that the fundraiser money was used to settle this deal. It could have ended up much worse though. The charges made were for vandalism and arson. The former would carry at least 5 years, and the latter could incur life imprisonment under the law of Uganda. I don't know what they were doing on the renting ground, perhaps tilling earth and lighting fires to clear out brush. A lot of this information was leaked by former Soft Ground associates who had grown disenfranchised with Bombash and his practices, and so left, one of which being their biggest heel, Lord White. Lord White, real name Alexander Tyson, started clashing with Bombash and decided to leave. However, people started to dig into his personal Twitter account and found some real alarming, edgy tweets. Now, while I'm not about digging up someone's past tweets as evidence of a person's character today, even if some of them are reprehensible, the shit posts are still going on to this day, and they ain't even good. In defiance of Bombash, Alexander made his own GoFundMe page to create a rival Ugandan wrestling company. A lot of this occurred before the Building the Dream fundraiser was a thing, and these incidents started to cause concern from individuals who thought maybe it wasn't the best idea to be sending all this money to a company that doesn't exist, to a man who is not above abusing a teenager in order to get money. But people were so determined to do the right thing, these voices were shouted down. With money from the first fundraiser already been used up according to Bombash, the second fundraiser money was much anticipated, as was the ring promised by Cody Rhodes. The money was this time entrusted with someone other than Bombash who was associated with Soft Ground Wrestling, something that Bombash was very vocal with his displeasure. This didn't stop him from purchasing 2 vehicles though, with the intention of using them to tour around Uganda and the rest of Africa. Although the vehicles themselves were not capable of doing so with unsafe conditions like no seats in the back. The vehicles were also registered in Bombash's name and not Soft Ground Wrestling as a company, so he can do with them what he wishes. Also, supposedly one of the vehicles he brought was on behalf of Mansour's mother, but the registration was not the same as the one showed off by Bombash. At the end of the day, Soft Ground Wrestling wanted to become a proper wrestling promotion. They knew they could not do so with passion alone, and so were more than happy to accept help and aid from people who genuinely meant well, who saw the contrast between the big American Puro and Lucha promotions to this African one that didn't even have a ring, and wanted to reward that passion and help them legitimize. Unfortunately, as Soft Ground started to adopt all the positive traits of becoming a real promotion, it also suffered from the negatives too. Wrestling is no stranger to controversies, from extortion, violence, sex trafficking, and even death. I don't have a final message to wrap this all up. I don't want soft ground wrestling to go out of business or disappear. I don't want those that promoted a charity to feel guilty in convincing people to give money to a cause that wasn't 100% transparent. I don't want those who wanted to do good to feel bad for what they have done. And I certainly don't want this to be used as a reason not to donate to charities. But I will say this, that in future, people be more comfortable with expressing and discussing their skepticism when something looks too good to be true. Or, in this case, too much of a good cause to be questioned. If we were more open to talks, we probably could have seen the warning signs earlier and helped those in need while avoiding those that were clearly trying to take advantage.